The Hopi Nation, people of peace. High above the painted deserts of northeastern Arizona, on three rocky fingers of land known as First, Second, and Third Mesa, stands one of the oldest continuously inhabited places in North America. This is Hopi land, home to a people who have lived here for over 1,000 years, guided by prophecy, ceremony, and a way of life they call the Hopituh, the Hopi path of peace. This is the story of the Hopi Nation. The Hopi are believed to be descendants of the ancestral Puebloans, sometimes called the Anasazi, a term many Hopi consider inappropriate today since it was assigned by outsiders. Archaeological evidence suggests that the ancestors of the Hopi people migrated throughout the Southwest for centuries before settling permanently on the mesas. According to Hopi oral tradition, their ancestors emerged into the fourth world, after journeying up through three previous worlds that had each been destroyed by imbalance and corruption. This emergence story is not simply myth to the Hopi. It is a living philosophical framework that shapes their understanding of responsibility, humility, and stewardship of the earth. Hopi tradition holds that different clans migrated in various directions across the continent before converging on the mesas, each clan carrying its own knowledge, ceremonies, and responsibilities. The village of Oraibi, on Third Mesa, is considered one of the oldest continuously inhabited settlements in the United States, with roots dating back to at least 1100 CE. Life on the mesas demanded extraordinary ingenuity. Rainfall in this region is scarce and unpredictable, yet the Hopi developed a remarkable system of dry farming, cultivating corn, beans, squash, and cotton without irrigation, relying instead on careful reading of soil, wind, and seasonal patterns passed down through generations. Corn held, and still holds, a sacred place in Hopi life. It is considered a mother, a sustainer, and a spiritual gift. Different colors of corn are used in different ceremonies, and a newborn Hopi child is traditionally presented with an ear of corn as part of naming rituals, symbolizing nourishment and connection to the earth. This deep relationship with the land was not incidental. It was the foundation of Hopi religious and social life. Ceremonies throughout the year were, and remain, tied to the agricultural calendar, prayers for rain, celebrations of harvest, and rituals marking the changing seasons. Hopi society is organized around a complex system of clans, each tracing descent through the maternal line. A person belongs to their mother's clan, and clan membership determines many aspects of social life, including whom one may marry and what ceremonial responsibilities one carries. Villages are traditionally governed by a combination of clan leadership and religious societies, with authority distributed rather than centralized in a single chief. Kikmongwi, or village leaders, historically held both political and spiritual responsibilities, chosen based on clan lineage and ceremonial standing rather than popular election. At the heart of every village is the kiva, an underground or partially underground ceremonial chamber used for religious rites, teaching, and community gatherings. Much of what happens within the kiva is considered sacred and private, known only to initiated members, a boundary the Hopi have maintained for centuries despite outside curiosity. The Hopi's relative isolation on their high mesas offered some protection from early European colonization, but it did not spare them entirely. In 1540, members of Francisco Vasquez de Coronado's expedition became the first Europeans to encounter Hopi villages while searching for the mythical Seven Cities of Gold. Spanish missionaries followed in the early 1600s, establishing missions among the Hopi and attempting to convert them to Christianity, often through coercive means, including forced labor and suppression of traditional religious practices. This tension between imposed colonial authority and Hopi self-determination erupted dramatically in 1680, when the Hopi joined the broader Pueblo Revolt, a coordinated uprising across the region against Spanish rule. The Hopi successfully drove Spanish missionaries from their mesas and, notably, never allowed successful long-term missions to be re-established afterward. Unlike many neighboring Pueblo peoples, the Hopi maintained an unusual degree of religious and cultural continuity into the modern era. As the United States expanded westward through the 19th century, the Hopi found themselves increasingly entangled with a new colonial power. In 1882, the U.S. government established the Hopi Reservation by executive order, though the boundaries were drawn without full Hopi consultation and would become a source of prolonged dispute, particularly regarding overlapping claims with the neighboring Navajo Nation, whose reservation surrounds Hopi land entirely. This land dispute, often referred to as the Navajo-Hopi land dispute, simmered for decades and led to significant legal battles and hardship for families on both sides, including controversial relocations in the 20th century. The issue remains a sensitive and complex chapter in the history of both nations. The late 19th and early 20th centuries also brought the deeply painful era of federal assimilation policy. Hopi children, like thousands of Native American children across the country, were sent to government and mission-run boarding schools, where they were often forbidden from speaking their language or practicing their traditions. Some Hopi families and leaders resisted these policies directly, a notable example being the 1906 split at Oraibi, where disagreements over accommodation with U.S. authorities led to a peaceful division of the village, with those opposing cooperation founding the new village of Hopituh. The 1906 division at Oraibi remains one of the most striking examples of Hopi conflict resolution in action. Rather than resorting to prolonged violence, opposing factions, one favoring cooperation with U.S. government policies and one opposing it, settled their dispute through a ritualized contest of strength, a literal pushing match along a line drawn in the earth. The losing faction departed peacefully to establish Hopituh, a village that continues to exist today as a center of traditional Hopi life. This event illustrates a broader theme in Hopi history. Even amid outside pressure, internal disagreement, and hardship, the Hopi consistently sought paths that preserved community cohesion and avoided prolonged violent conflict, echoing the values embedded in the Hopavatskwani, the path of peace. Central to Hopi identity is a rich ceremonial cycle that continues to this day, including the Kachina season, running roughly from winter through midsummer. Kachinas represent spiritual beings connected to natural forces, ancestors, and life itself. Certain dances and events are open to respectful public observation, while many aspects of Hopi religious life remain closed to outsiders, reflecting the community's right to protect its sacred knowledge. Hopi prophecy has also played a notable role in the nation's self-understanding, including teachings passed down about balance, warning, and the responsibilities of humanity toward the earth. These teachings are often cited by Hopi elders and spokespeople in modern contexts, including environmental and social commentary, though outsiders should be cautious about oversimplifying or sensationalizing what are deeply nuanced spiritual teachings. Today, the Hopi tribe is a sovereign nation with its own constitution, adopted in 1936, and a tribal government that works alongside traditional village leadership structures. Approximately 7,000 to 19,000 Hopi people are enrolled tribal members, with many living on or near the reservation, while others reside throughout the United States. Hopi artisans remain internationally recognized for their silver overlay jewelry, coiled pottery, and finely carved Kachina dolls, which serve both as art forms and as teaching tools for children learning about spiritual figures within their culture. The Hopi Nation continues to navigate contemporary challenges, including water rights disputes, environmental concerns tied to coal mining on tribal lands, economic development, and the ongoing effort to preserve the Hopi language, which, like many indigenous languages, faces pressure from generational shifts and outside cultural influence. Language immersion programs and cultural education initiatives have become central priorities for tribal leadership seeking to ensure the Hopi way of life continues for future generations. For over 1,000 years, the Hopi have maintained their homes atop these desert mesas, adapting to invasion, drought, and dramatic historical change while holding fast to core values of peace, humility, and respect for the earth. Their story is not one of the past alone. It is a living, ongoing history, carried forward every planting season, every ceremony, and every child taught to carry an ear of corn. The Hopi people call themselves Hopituh Shi-nu-mu, the peaceful people. And after 1,000 years of storms, both literal and historical, they remain.